This is a piece of software I made called Lizard Ladder. It's a tool for automatically generating in-betweens. I built it using Maximus P and used it to make a short film also called Lizard Ladder. The software generates your in-betweens according to the order and direction in which you draw your lines. Let me demonstrate by drawing a face. If I draw all the strokes in the same order and in a corresponding direction between the two drawings, the animation will interpolate like this. Since the software interpolates according to the order in which the lines are drawn, it will interpolate differently when I draw the strokes in a different order. If there are a different number of strokes in the two drawings, the software will duplicate the last stroke in order to even out the total number of lines. There are two drawing windows, which is where you draw your two keyframes. Each drawing window has 5 layers, which you can access by selecting the corresponding thumbnail. Note that each layer interpolates separately, meaning strokes drawn on layer 1 in the left keyframe will only interpolate to strokes drawn on layer 1 in the right keyframe. The colors are up here. This bar down below will let you change saturation. This little circle indicates your brush size, which you can change by holding the command button and dragging up or down. You can change your line weight dynamically while you draw by holding the bracket keys. If you hold the F key, you can draw filled shapes. If you hold Shift, you can click to draw individual vertices. And if you hold the G key, you can draw these weird liney shapes that I made by accident. You can undo your last stroke on each layer by hitting the U key. You can cut a particular layer by hitting the C key. Hitting the V key will paste. You can use this little number box to replay your drawing so you can check the order and directions of the lines you drew. First, you have to hit the button to arm it, which can take some time. But when it's ready, you can drag it up and down to replay your drawing. If you leave it alone for a few seconds, it will go back to showing your drawing. These buttons will let you save or load your image. It saves as a .jxf file, which is a collection of the data that the software needs to recreate the drawing. This toggle allows you to load in a reference image, which is just a semi-transparent image that won't render. Sometimes when working from a reference, I need more precision, so I'll hit the plus key to make the window zoom in. You can hit the minus key to zoom it back out again. Once you have 2 keyframes drawn, hitting Generate In-Betweens will allow you to play them back. Note that depending on the complexity of your drawing, this can take several minutes. You can change the length of the transition by changing the number of in-betweens here. You can use this graph to change how linear the interpolation is. It's a function graph in which the x-axis represents time and the y-axis represents the transition between the 2 keyframes. You can click and drag to place points, and you can bend lines by holding the Alt button and dragging. Lastly, you can delete points by shift-clicking them. This S-curve will create an ease-in, ease-out interpolation. To apply the changes we made to the function graph or to the frame number box, you'll need to recalculate the in-betweens. You can save your video using this button, which will export a ProRes QuickTime movie. You also have the option to select individual strokes to have the video export the individual strokes separately. Lastly, there's the feedback window, which is what I use to make the abstract effects in the film. It's a tool for making video feedback, which in a way is the digital equivalent of pointing a camera at itself. Your video is passed through an effect, then fed back into itself, blending with the next frame of the video. The result is then fed back again through that same process. Here's what that would look like in the feedback window. Pressing the spacebar will play. The video frame has been read using this read button. I've set the scale to slightly over 100%, and I've changed the blending operation to add. Experiment with the various parameters to get different effects. There are play and record buttons for each parameter. If we arm the record button for a given parameter, it will record out the changes as we go. If we arm the play button for that parameter, it will replay our changes. And that's all. Thank you for your interest. Email me if it gives you any trouble.